Guys, let's start with one guy with a tight waist and the other guy with a whizzer. Okay, from Giancarlo's perspective, in this position, the three things he never wants to land on are an extended arm through the hand. Okay, anytime you land like this, you're just asking for trouble. The other surface you never want to land on is the point of the shoulder. Okay, if the point of the shoulder lands directly on the floor, there's a very high chance of an AC joint injury in the shoulder. And you never want to land on the front of your head, like so. Okay, if you land anywhere from the point of the head down to the front, that's just asking for injury. So if we find ourselves in these situations where Nick turns in for a throw, the big thing we're looking to avoid is, first and foremost, the most common, this, reaching for the floor with a hand. Now, sometimes you can get away with this. Okay, you'll see plenty of people cartwheel out of locks if they have a certain level of expertise, but you can't naively reach for the floor and brace for impact. Your arm isn't that strong. Okay, you will be broken in that position. Sometimes the break occurs in the elbow. That's the most common point. Sometimes it'll go all the way up to the collarbone. Okay, sometimes you'll see a shoulder dislocation. Usually it's at the elbow. So that's the most common, the one we want to avoid the most. Don't reach for the floor with an extended arm and try and brace yourself. If you're going to do this, you got to know exactly what you're doing. Okay, and at beginner level, this is not what you're looking for. So that's the first one. Second one, never land on the point of your shoulder. Just start closer to the mat. Giancarlo, put your left knee down, right leg up, stand up. Now, from here, come in, hit a mild Uchimata. And now from this position, if you land on the point of the shoulder, right there, the shoulder will very often dislocate, come right out of its socket. Okay, so landing on your shoulder is a bad thing. Okay. Third big problem, same situation. From here, you switch your knees, buddy. From here, when he comes in for the Uchimata, Giancarlo turns his chest flat to the floor and goes face planting. Okay, if you land on the front of the face, even the top of the head, terrible things can happen. Worst of all is the situation where you get hit with Uchimata, you tuck your chin, and you suffer severe neck injuries being thrown right onto your head. Okay, this can be potentially very, very bad. So those 3 points, the hand, the point of the shoulder, and the front and top of the head, are the 3 things we're consciously trying to avoid landing on. Now, what should we be landing on? You want to land on the back of your shoulders, shoulder blades, and you want to be able to use your arms and legs to help absorb impact. Okay? Now, this often results in the fact that you get scored on. You get thrown flat on your back, it's usually a score for the other guy. That's the bad news. The good news is you'll never get hurt seriously in this fashion. The worst that can happen is that you'll have the air knocked out of you, and for a couple of minutes you'll be in pain and duress, and then 2 minutes later you're fine, you get up and laugh about it, and you keep on training. Getting thrown on your shoulder blades and the backs of your shoulders while you're looking up to the ceiling is a very, very safe way to land as long as you're on mats. Okay? Having free arms to slap out and free legs to absorb impact helps it even more. But as a minimum prerequisite, even if you can't slap out, try to land on the back of your shoulders and the shoulder blade area, and you'll almost always be safe. Just tuck and roll. Okay? Now, most people practice this as a solo drill. If you take a standing position there, and from here they put an arm between their legs and they roll through. And as a result, they practice landing on their shoulders. Okay? And you'll go around the country and watch people in America practice jiu-jitsu before class. They do exactly this for 5-10 minutes. And they tell themselves, hey, I know how to land safely if I get thrown. Then they actually get thrown by someone in a competitive situation and they forget all about that and they land terribly. Okay, so what's gone wrong? The solo drill is a good way to demonstrate the concept to a beginner, but it doesn't do a very good job of translating the concept into actual performance when you get thrown in a competitive situation. The only thing that gets you ready for that is getting thrown. Okay, I've done this for a long time. I know plenty of people who can demonstrate a break fall by themselves pretty well But when it's time to actually get thrown in a competitive situation, they land terribly because they've just never been thrown. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have two training partners start off. We're going to start with one man on the knees. The other guy's going to take an overhook. You take a tight waist, Giancarlo, so in like so. You're going to present your leg to your opponent by putting your left leg up, just like so. Now, from here, Giancarlo, just reach forward with your right hand and put it on the outside of your training partner's thigh. Good. Okay. Now, Nick, you're just going to jump in. You're going to hit him with Uchimata, and Giancarlo is going to fall and slap out with his left hand. Okay. And just practice getting thrown. Because you're on your knees, the impact is incredibly low. It's just a nice, relaxing way to learn how to fall. Okay. So here we go. You get tossed. You just practice slapping out with feet and hands, and most importantly, landing on the back of your shoulders, making sure your head doesn't make contact with the mat, and making sure you're never bracing out with your hands. What we're trying to avoid is this kind of thing. You get thrown and you extend your right hand and try to stop it. Okay? Now, if you really know what you're doing, this is okay. You can cartwheel out of the move, and do it, but this is at a very, very high level of competence. Okay, if you're beginning the study of jiu-jitsu and you have never been thrown before, this is not the course for you. Okay, learn to land on your shoulders. The back of your shoulders and your shoulder blades. That's the safe way to do it. Okay, when you get at a very high level, then you can learn to cartwheel out of throws and you do all kinds of crazy things. But that's not for now. Okay, at beginner level, practice the skill of going through and absorbing the impact into the mat, like so. Okay, by starting on your knees, you take away the fear of falling. Okay, as you gain confidence on the knees, then we rise up, and then we practice the skill of going in and falling from the feet and going through. Okay, now doing this repetitively for long periods of time can be hard on the body. In a beginner's class, I generally recommend the kneeling version first, so you get people past their natural aversion and fear of falling, and it's an easy drill to learn. This translates into skills when you actually get thrown in competition, as opposed to the solo drills, which are so artificial that when you actually get thrown in a competitive setting, most people freak out, don't translate the solo drill well to the actual combat skill, and then they land terribly on their hands, on their forehead, etc. Okay? Now, people will often say, oh, these are beginner. A beginner puts his arm out and gets hurt. Well, nope. Actually, at Olympic level in judo and wrestling, you will occasionally see people reach out. They're trying to stop a throw. They're trying to take the risk of not being thrown onto their back. And even at that level, people will get their arms snapped in half. Okay, it's actually not that uncommon. The impact of throws at World Championship level is very, very powerful. And putting extended arm outs, even for experts, can be a very, very risky thing. Okay, for a beginner, it's way too risky. Now, please bear in mind, guys, in most grappling sports, if you get thrown hard right onto your back, the match is over. Okay, in jiu-jitsu, it doesn't mean anything. It's only 2 points. Okay, so even if you did get thrown flat on your back, the chances of the guy scoring a full 2 points could just roll through and get back up to your feet, it's pretty low. And most of your score is an advantage. Just let your back touch the ground.